An Airbus FCU for only 40 bucks? Sounds unrealistic, right? But I did it. If you look at the markets, a simple FCU, for example from Wind Control, cost over 140 bucks. I'm not saying they're bad, but as a broke student myself, I had to come with an idea to find an alternative in order to bring my flight simming to another level. I looked at several YouTube videos and inspiration on how to build a pretty cheap and easy to control FCU for the Airbus, and I came to this idea. What if I just used an Arduino Mega, a breadboard, and some simple devices in order to get myself my FCU? The most important device is your Arduino Mega. You'll need 3 7-segment displays. After that, you should get yourself 6 momentary buttons with a green dot LED. I would recommend a momentary button because it's like in the real Airbus. Then you get yourself 4 rotary encoders. I would recommend to you the KY040s because they don't lock and they rotate endlessly. Last but not least, you get yourself those 3 circled push buttons. So now you got everything right in place. I'm not diving deeper into the wiring because there are plenty of YouTube videos, or you can just visit the Mobiflight website and there's everything you need to know about the wiring. I recommend to you that you don't use any breadboards or jumper cables because they are pretty sensitive and break so easily. I made that mistake myself, but I would recommend to you to use normal wires. You can get them also on AliExpress or Amazon. I will put any link down to the description so you don't have to find it yourself. So going forward, let's talk about the panel. I currently use a Bamboo P1S. I got the knobs from several websites, but the panel I created that myself with Thinkercad. Pretty simple, pretty easy. I'm pretty new to 3D printing, so that was my first real project, I would say. If you want to download that file, you can find it down in the video description below. If you want a more realistic looking FCU, there are also plenty of options you can find online. But as I said, that was my first 3D printed project, so I'm pretty happy with this. There's also a EFIS following in the future and a frequency panel that will combine. I will combine them together with the FCU. I'm not going to build something as big as the 737 sim. That should just be a 320 simulator for my desk because the majority of times I fly the 737. That was enough yapping. Let's just dive into Mobiflight and see how I programmed everything. So now we're in Mobiflight. I currently run 2 profiles, one for the Phoenix A320 and one for the fly-by-wire A320. So let's just start with the input. We're going to start with the autopilot 1. Scan your input. Microsoft Flight Simulator. We are giving an example for the fly-by-wire mod. Search the aircraft, the A320 developer, and autopilot 1. Now we have the autopilot 1 and you press OK. We don't have any event for a release. And now we have the AP1. So the inputs are always pretty similar except the encoders. Let's start the encoder for the speed. Also here you scan your input. We get the encoder, search for the Microsoft Flight Simulator. Fly-by-wire. The aircraft is the A320 developer. Search for the speed. So now we got that's probably a speed speed decrease, and on right we do the speed increase. Alternatively, you can use a on left fast, on right fast. So if you increase the encoder pretty fast, there's also an event that will increase then your value. Press OK, and now we have our first encoder. So as I said, we don't have a pull option on those standard encoders, but Mobiflight gave us the opportunity to use on hold. So I just made it like that. If I hold the encoder button for 300 milliseconds, it becomes a pull. I'm going to show you that in a second. Let's just also do that for the speed. So now we have the speed push. Copy that and go on hold. Here you can edit the delay and how long you want to hold your input. I always leave it at 350 milliseconds. And now you can go for pull. And now you have your push and pull input for your FCU. So now we're on the simulator. Let's see if everything is working. We can see that the speed is increasing and decreasing. We can go between the managed and selected mode. Really nice. The autopilot is also working. Now let's go to the more complicated stuff. Let's do the 7-segment displays and how to get the 3 dotted lines into your 7-segment display. So let's go to the output options. Let's just start with also the speed. Now you will search for your 7-segment display minus the first LED, the first 3 digits. You get yourself your variable. The first one is pretty easy. You just search for the selected speed. Speed selected. Then you use a speed toggle. That's the middleman between the selected and managed mode. And then you use your managed. So let's go to the speed managed. You have the comparison. If the value is 0, you make it 3 digits, 3 dots. And the precondition, you have the speed toggle. If you set it to 1, it becomes 3 dots. And we go here to the speed toggle. You don't need to select your 7-segment display. You just need the sim variable, and that is speed managed. Let's see, speed managed dots. Because you can see there's a value between 0 and 1. If the value is 0, we are in the managed. If there is the selected, it becomes 1. And let's go to the speed select. We want that the speed select is activated when the speed toggle is at the value 0. So go here to precondition, config item, speed toggle if the value is 0. Modify F1, let's see if that works. Let's see in the simulator. Currently we have 3 dots, and 7-segment also shows 3 dots. Let's see if it's also in a different. And you can see it works just fine. And that simply works for every other 7-segment with the heading and with the vertical speed. So to sum up everything, you need a toggle. That's the middleman. He tells the different events if it's 0 or 1. Note that in the managed dotted mode, never use a sim variable. Leave it blank and just use the compare. Now let's go to the easiest part, to the LEDs. That's also an output. as I said, I have buttons with a small green dot, like in the real Airbus. Let's use any output, test it to see where it is. Let's look for the autopilot one. Here it is. When you go here to the fly-by-wire, search for AP1. Autopilot. Let's see. We got the autopilot status 1. See if that's the right one. So now let's see if that works. And indeed it works. So you have to look for the different events. Mobiflight offers various of events for the fly-by-wire. Some of them work, some doesn't. I used the A320NX. I previously used this one, the XML VR. Maybe that was for the A380, but unfortunately that worked. And so we programmed everything we need to know. The other offsets and events are pretty similar. The other encoders work the same way. So I hope you could understand how to program everything for the fly-by-wire. The same also goes for the Phoenix. It just uses different events with the same system behind the 3 dotted lines. So that's how easy it is to program and make your own FCU for little money. I hope you could understand how I made it. I'm really happy that everything worked out so fine, and I'm really looking forward to my next project. Is that, as I said previously, my EFIS and my frequency panel that will be combined with the FCU, and that will come in a separate video with how to do it and how to combine it together. Hope you enjoyed that video. Leave a like and comment, and see you in the next one.